We are up to the letter K in the ABCs of conference networking. My name is Thom Singer, and I'm known as the Conference Catalyst, and I have worked for nearly 15 years helping event organizers make their conference a place that has a culture that is rich for connections. You know, people attend events for two reasons. They come to conferences because they want to learn, and they also come to conferences for the networking opportunities. But what we found over the course of the last 18 months or so is that we can deliver the learning, we can deliver the content via a lot of online platforms. However, the networking quotient, that human to human, the serendipity of those hallway conversations, those are hard to replicate in a virtual setting. And that's why, as the world is opening up, people are going to be coming back to live events and they are going to be hungry to connect. So the K in the ABCs of conference networking, the K is about your keynote speaker. Now, I'm not saying I should be the keynote speaker, although I would love to talk to you if you're planning an event about how my talk about human connection and creating uncommon connections might be the right thing to help get that culture going at your event, to make people excited about networking and talking to other people and really making your event fantastic. But it doesn't have to be a keynote about networking that can make the networking at your event thrive. But it does take a master of ceremonies and or a keynote speaker, or heck, all of your keynote speakers and all of your breakout speakers. It takes all of them to encourage people to talk to each other. The day of the talking head on stage, sort of that sage on the stage, the day of that for the keynote, it's past. People who are in audiences, whether they're 55 years old or 25 years old, they want to share the experience of the live event. They want to be part of the learning. They want to be engaged. They want to be recognized, and they want to be part of it. So if your keynote speakers and your breakout speakers are simply giving a lecture, it might be great. And sometimes people do need that time to just sit and take it in. But really, the keynote especially should be interactive, engaging, and it should challenge everybody in the audience to get out of their comfort zone and do something. Every now and then I talk to people who are like, yeah, my organization doesn't like motivational speakers. We want, somebody to come in and educate from the stage. We don't want any motivation. So I ask the question, what is the opposite of motivation? Well, the opposite of motivation is demotivation. And I can't assume for a minute that anyone who is planning an event says, I want a keynote speaker who is going to suck the energy out of the room. Well, that's the opposite of a motivational speaker. Therefore, every speaker, everyone who takes the stage, whether they are the keynote, a breakout, whoever it is, everybody should have some sort of a call to action that causes people to get out of that comfort zone. And when you work with your speakers and say, look, the networking at our event is very important. As we come back to our first event in many years, people are hungry to connect. We need you to have something in your talk that is engaging, interactive, and allows people either during your keynote or after your keynote to talk with each other and get them to think, but also get them to connect with the other people who are present. Some of the best networking that takes place at conferences are those serendipitous hallway conversations. I always encourage people in the audience that when they walk out of any session, my session or anyone's session, I encourage them to turn to the person next to them and go, what did you think about that speaker? Or what did you learn from that speaker? Because the conversation that happens with a perfect stranger after you have just shared that experience of the learning, that can spark so many things. So who you choose as your keynote speakers and your breakout speakers really impacts the way people will share, talk, network, and engage while they're at your event. So when you're planning your agenda, don't just fill the spot with people. Look for speakers who encourage networking. Look for speakers who have content that causes people to talk in the hallways. And look for speakers who have that motivational element to their keynote that is going to ask people to take the challenge, to talk to each other, to make your event the best event ever. And at the same time, it's going to be filled with content that's going to fill their brains with learning that they need to take back to their office. So vetting speakers is hard. It's one of the hardest things that a meeting planner can do. So if you're planning a meeting, don't just say, well, he or she is a keynote speaker. Say, I need a keynote speaker who can do all these things. And then go out of your way to find them. If you're looking for ideas on speakers and I'm not the right person, you still can call me. I love to share ideas on different speakers, on different topics for different types of organizations. I even have a page on my website, thomsinger.com/recommended/professional-speakers. Recommended professional speakers is the sub page on thomsinger.com. And I list a whole bunch of people who you may have never found. They're not famous, but they're all awesome. I know them all personally. I've seen them all speak. And in addition to being great on stage, they're good people. Because the people you choose to be the keynote have such an impact on your conference that I want to see you get the best people possible. So I'd love to talk to you myself, but I also am willing to share who could be an amazing keynote, because the keynoters, if they do their job correctly, the keynoters are the ones who make your conference an interactive, just a hub for better networking. And I think that's what we all want when we go to a conference. We want it to be wow when it comes to that human-to-human connection part. So think twice before you pick anybody to be your keynote. Make sure that they bring the goods to make your event fantastic. Hey, do me a favor. Subscribe to my little YouTube channel and look me up at thomsinger.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that you ever might have about how to make your events more engaging.